For the moment, let's turn to Ukraine and the war that their military is fighting, not the one against Russia, but domestically. A war with President Zelensky. This is what reports say. The Ukrainian president is losing trust in the army's leadership. He wants the army chief to step down. That's General Valerii Zaluzhnyi, the army chief of Ukraine. Zelensky wants him to go, and there's more. A rebellion of sorts, because the general has refused his president's orders. Zaluzhnyi does not want to part ways with the army. So is this a power struggle in the making? The presidential office was quick to dismiss these reports, but as they say, there's no smoke without fire. Looks like all is not well between Zelensky and the army. And this has peaked with a weapons procurement scam. It happened recently. $400 million was stolen, money that was meant for purchasing mortar shells. The money was spent, but the shells never came. And $400 million went into offshore accounts somewhere in the Balkans. When the scam came to light, Ukraine's Secret Service arrested 5 people, but the bigger damage was done. It showed Zelensky in poor light and made international donors think twice, or will make them think twice, before shelling out aid. Whichever way you look at it, it's bad news for Ukraine. Their war with Russia will complete 2 years in less than a month, and they're far from winning it. In fact, Kiev's counter-offensive has failed. Yes, some gains were made, but the objective is far from being achieved. Russian troops still occupy large areas in Ukraine, and Zelensky now wants answers from his generals.
I have working relations with Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Army, Zaluzhnyi. He has to answer for results on the battlefield as Commander-in-Chief, together with the General Staff. There are many questions.
Disagreements between Zelensky and the army chief are growing. There was another big spat recently. It happened in December after Zelensky fired the generals who headed recruitment centers. He called it a sweeping move to combat corruption. To make matters worse, Zelensky's cabinet passed a conscription bill. It lowered the age limit of mobilization among men from 27 to 25 years. The media-shy army chief finally broke his silence. First, he criticized Zelensky for firing seasoned generals. Then he demanded that the old draft system be brought back. The army chief even spoke about the counter-offensive that he oversaw. He defended the operation that President Zelensky has questioned.
We had rather ambitious goals in 2023. I was not disappointed by the level of foreign assistance in 2023. Of course, it was not the full amount requested, but it allowed us to conduct confident military operations.
There are more instances of political rivalry. Zelensky has warned the army chief against entering politics. This was his message to General Zaluzhnyi and all other commanders, that there is an understanding of hierarchy. And this statement betrays a lot. For the president to have to spell it out and say publicly that hierarchy must be respected, in which Zelensky himself sits at the top. Why did he feel the need to say it? One reason could be this. The army chief is growing in popularity. A survey from December puts that into perspective. Zelensky's popularity is at 47%. The army chief is at 30%. The third best candidate is at just 5%. And the same survey also suggested that if both leaders, Zelensky and the army chief, if both these leaders were to run for president, Zelensky would secure just a 2% margin over the army chief. Those numbers are concerning if you are the Ukrainian president. Thankfully for him, the presidential polls right now are only theoretical. But the rift in Kiev's leadership looks very real, and cracks in Ukraine's unity will only play into Russia's hands.